Greetings everybody, welcome to this video on G4G. Today things are going to be a little bit different in this video. Can't really hide it considering the topic of the video. It's not like you don't know what isn't coming. It's right there up at the top. You know exactly what's coming. So I can't be coy about it or drum up hype or suspense in any way, shape, or form. The only thing I can say is, let's get into it. So for those who don't know, and I'm sure everybody kind of does at this point, Gina Carano was in The Mandalorian. She played Cara Dune. Probably her biggest claim to fame since she was doing women's MMA in Strikeforce. She was also in Deadpool. She was also in Haywire. And I'm sure a few other things that escape me at this point in time. But we're talking about her here today in the Star Wars universe because of the fact that she was in Mandalorian and Disney, Star Wars, Disney Marvel. It's all really gaming adjacent. So it's kind of okay to talk about it over here. Similar to the way that I talked about Zoe Quinn a while back, because she is gaming adjacent based on what happened with Alakaloka and her roots with Gamergate. So Gina, we talk a lot about on my stream Monday through Friday. She comes up a lot because Fire Gina Carano comes up a lot, and it goes away for a month or two, and then it comes back, and we get to talk about what is she doing now and how relevant is quote-unquote cancel culture, and should it affect what she does for a living. We talk about it openly and honestly, and there is no heavy political thoughts going on or agenda. We talk about it frankly. Well, now's the time in which we really have to talk about it, because she has hit the end of her road. Disney has finally let her go from Mandalorian because she crossed the line too big, too hard, too fast, one last time. And the thing that got it is what you see from TikTok down here below. Now, I'm going to read her tweet, but I'm not going to show the picture, and I'm going to use the language she uses in her tweet. Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children, because history is edited. Most people today don't realize that they got to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews. And to get to the point where this could happen, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating somebody from their political views? Now, to any centrist, to any moderate, to any libertarian, straight down the pipe, she brings up a good point. How fair is it to hate somebody simply for their political views? And she compares it to this major hate in the past. The thing is, her whole scenario falls apart super quickly the moment you apply just the tiniest amount of critical thinking. And that critical thinking is, they're not the same. History compared to today is not the same. And the plight of what happened to German Jewish people, knowing what it led to, this isn't a vacuum. We know exactly what it led to. It's the past. It has been played out start to finish. We know exactly what it leads to. Where we are today has not led anywhere yet. There is no end to it. And we're not getting near the intensity that she's trying to imply over here. That's the problem. We know where that past event ended. And it was horrific. That is not what is happening now. Media, friends, family, we're not telling you to hate on another person simply because they exist. We're not telling you, I'm not being told, I'm not telling somebody else, Twitter isn't, Facebook isn't, to hate somebody simply because you feel their genetics are inferior in the genetic mix. That theirs are the betas and somebody else's are the alphas. And if you belong to the alphas, you have the right to remove the betas, the weaker genetic links, the weak side traits as compared to the strong side traits. Recessive and dominant. That is what was used at the time, was simply they aren't good because they have weaker genetics. Baseless. What is going on now is the other side is bad because of what they believe in and what the people on the other side do and say through their actions and through their words and who they align with and who they stand for. That is where modern political hate comes from. It's not simply because they exist. It is because of the wagon they have hitched themselves to. And in American politics, it is, I hate that Democrat because they will turn the country into communism and socialism, and they believe in eating the skin of babies to remain young, and they're Satan worshippers, and Hillary Clinton is on video eating an aid with Soros, chopping up an aid and eating it and staying young forever. And then the other side hates Republicans for being racist and bigoted and dipping into QAnon theories and the Kraken and voting fraud, no matter how many times it gets debunked. That is where the major difference is. You're not disliking somebody on the other side because they're currently converting oxygen into carbon dioxide. You're hating them because of what they align with. And that's where this fails so miserably and outs her as a non-critical thinker and draws a terrible parallel to a horrific event in world history. And in reality, she's applying what is almost a strictly American issue for the most part now. I'm not saying other countries don't have their issues, but more of a isolated American politics compared to an event on the world scale. And how it played out and led to wars and terrible things. And how does she feel being aligned with a side that has worn some shirts very publicly in the media lately, continuing to prove that that past event is not over? It is rather sickening to draw the parallel between the two events. And I think this is finally where Disney said, okay, we all know the hot water Walt Disney has been in before and how that reflects on Disney today. So I think it's time for you to go. And in the past, Pedro's tried to help her out. Or Pablo, excuse me. Jon Favreau has tried to help her out. And it just keeps spinning out of her control. And Pedro Pascal, sorry. You would think she poked the bear enough times and got covered enough times and probably got enough talkings to that she would eventually figure out, maybe I should not roll back the rock in front of the cave and start chucking pine cones at the sleeping bear in there. Some of these pine cones are pretty heavy. He's probably going to feel it through that winter fat fur. Well, yeah, it happened. The bear woke up and took a swipe, and there went Gina Carano's head. So some of the things in the past that she's done is like retweeted Jorge Masvidal's statement of sounds a lot like when Nazi Germany, Stalin Russia, Castro Cuba, Chavez Maduro Venezuela made lists about political adversaries where he was quoting AOC. that gets her in hot water. Retweeting this mask meme over here. Some of what she's liked on Twitter, some of what she retweets, she constantly gets that Fire Gina trend going. And when it dies down for a month, she does something stupid and puts it right back up there. And the rumors have always been that, you know, Pedro has defended her, Jon Favreau has defended her, and they're keeping her with her job over there, and Pedro came out with, like, some public support of her. But just a day or so before Gina does this, Pedro comes out and talks about his trans sister. And Gina has had that moment where she put her bio in Twitter as beep boop bop after going on a rant back and forth for quite some time about pronouns. And to people like Gina, I've seen them wield the word pronouns as an insult on Twitter. I just saw several hours ago somebody responding to somebody else and saying, okay, pronouns. And this coming from pronouns guy. It's become an insult. And I think Disney finally was like, you know what? Alright, enough. You stuck your hand in the cookie jar a whole bunch of times. You kept getting some crumbs of cookies. You got a chip here and there. You got a whole ass cookie on this one right before dinner. We've smacked your hand about 11 times now. Enough is enough. Put the lid on the cookie jar. We're locking it. Go to your room. Words have consequences. Words are free, minus yelling fire in a crowded theater. But words have responsibilities, and words have consequences. And if somebody's well-trafficked in communication and PR as I am, and the PR bent that I tend to look at things through, like when companies do reprehensible actions, when support looks really bad for a company and everything. I always look at it through the lens of a PR person. And this is one of those cases that it's like you can't PR out. I would jump in traffic if I was Gina's PR person at this point. And this is the final straw for her. And admittedly, what she's done in the past, how many times she's poked the bear, how many times she's come close to the edge, the fact that she continuously gets Fire Gina trending, or not even cancel Gina, just Fire Gina trending, it's over. She finally hit the line, and it was probably the worst thing she's done so far to compare the two plights of being conservative in a democratic or liberal America, or being liberal or democratic in a conservative America. We all know what she's referencing to, but we'll take it down the middle. What it's like to be on one side of the fence in America is, we'll just take it at face value. It's utterly ridiculous considering we know what happened in the past and where it led. So you know you're drawing the parallel to the entire entity, not just a small segment of it, like she's saying. The entirety of that event in the past is being called up as a comparison, and it will lose every day of the week. She picked a completely losing analogy and situation comparison in this. And now she's paying for it. And there is, of course, the people that are happy about it, and then there is the cancel Disney Plus crowd. There's like, I can't believe you fired her, it's free speech, blah, blah, blah. Cancel Disney Plus. And it goes to show you that both sides have cancel culture. It's only cancel culture when it's on the opposite side of the fence from you. It's only cancel culture when somebody says you shouldn't eat Goya beans, but it's not cancel culture when you want to burn your Nikes. And of course, vice versa. However, one side claims to really dislike cancel culture and fight against it, and then continues to attempt to cancel things. That's kind of the bad part about this. There's a lot of hypocrisy in it. Oh, cancel culture is bad. I can't believe they're doing that to Gina. Cancel Disney. it doesn't get more hysterically ironic and funny as that. But this is where we are. And it is now nobody's fault other than Gina. I don't think this was really social pressure that did it. I think this one stands alone as being enough to wipe her employment out with them. When she got terminated, her agent left. I believe that is another aspect of this story, is that when Disney fired her, her agent was like, okay, goodbye. So it gets double bad. What do you think? Do you think this is pressure from the Fire Gina crowd? Do you think this is cancel culture getting its way again? Or do you think that in a vacuum, even if this was the first thing she ever did, and again, I'm not going to show the picture, you can find it yourself. If this was the first time she ever did something like this, do you think that would push her close to dismissal, or actually push her into a dismissal status with them? Or would you just take it as, look at this stupid crackpot. This isn't even funny. Oh well, I'm going to go watch Mandalorian Season 3 when it comes out. Don't get me wrong, I like Gina. I really did. I should say maybe past tense at this point. But she did a lot for women's MMA back in the day. Her fight with Christine Cyborg was rather legendary and probably really went far in pushing women into very well-known mixed martial arts like UFC. And then Ronda took up the torch that Gina put down. She got drubbed by Christine Cyborg. It's on YouTube. You can actually go to YouTube right over there and watch the fight. It is literally a round. But she put up a better fight than a lot of people might think in today's day and age. Seeing, Gina and where Gina went, where Christine Cyborg went. She put up a really, really good fight. She just still got bettered. And she handed a torch to Ronda, and Ronda got that torch running and got it into UFC and got Dana White to go back on his word, which really broke a barrier. Haywire is a fantastic film. If you want to see a kick-ass girl do something in a Bond-style film, but with action, and actually real action from a person who knows exactly what they're doing, sort of like Wesley Snipes or Jean-Claude Van Damme, not somebody who was trained for a movie, but somebody who lived that in their life and then brought it into film. Haywire is a great film. I really recommend it for anybody who wants to see a film like that. Just a good thriller. Forget even that, like a female action lead thriller. Just a good thriller, period. But then she's also very good in it. And her physicality is amazing in it. And when people say, Captain Marvel, first female strong lead, and Wonder Woman, first female strong lead. First of all, bitch please, aliens. Ripley. Secondly, Haywire. Maybe not enough people know Haywire, but that's another one where a legit action actress was doing something amazing. Haywire's good. I still recommend it. But if you cannot separate the artist from real life, artist in the art and artist in real life, then you're not going to want to see it. But if you can suspend that long enough to watch a good movie, I do recommend Haywire. It is worth the watch. It's just done. It's a very well done movie, not overly special affected or special audio and everything. It's just a very clean movie, kind of like the Christopher Nolan Batmans. But anyway, that's my take on it today. What do you guys think? How do you feel about her services no longer being needed by Disney and Star Wars and The Mandalorian? Thanks a lot for watching the video, guys. Have a good one.